welcome in. I am going to demonstrate how to set up Threadfin. I get a lot of questions about a lot of different things, and so I just wanted to take the time to demonstrate how to set this up. I'm going to be using a freely available IPTV feed from iptv.org, and as well as a pre-downloaded guide from there as well. So this is where I've sourced all of that, so it's freely available to everybody. So first thing, I just got Threadfin installed. You can look here, I'm on version 34. Okay, so coming into it, first thing you want to do, I know that there used to be on XTV, there used to be a guide that would guide you through initial setup, but it was pretty broken, so I just took it out. First thing you want to do is come into settings. So a few things here. You'll see here at the top there's a client connections. This is how many people can connect to Threadfin. So I wanted to clear that up. Versus playlist connections is how many connections to a provider's playlist are currently there. So right now, only by default, only one person can connect to Threadfin at a time. After that, it'll show that screen. Depending on your settings, I just come and crank it up to 100. Just whatever. I don't want to see that screen. Also, if you are not using Plex, you can turn this SSDP off. This is just for the discovery for Plex that is simulates like it's an HD home run. Okay, the other setting here is the EPG source. By default, it's set to PMS. Probably 99.9% of you are going to want to switch this to XEPG. I'll switch that in a later version, but you want to make sure that that's set to XEPG. These two items only pertain to if you're using kernel. You can set a custom category. So as an example, let's say I wanted a locals category, right? So I can just say locals, locals. And then you come down here and you do another pipe and you do lowercase locals, and then give it a color of orange. Enable default dummy data. We want to go ahead and get that enabled. I'll explain what that is later. If you already have the channel numbers, everything set up as you want them, and you don't want to have to do any filters, you've already filtered it ahead of time, you're going to want to check this option, ignore filters. That will bypass any need for filters, and it'll just pull in your M3U as is. This is for scheduling when you want to update the playlist in XMLTV. So again, if you want multiple times, let's say 0600, and you want to do maybe 2 p.m. your time, that would be 2 p.m. Notice I'm not putting spaces between the commas. You don't want to have those. Updating all files at startup. By default, it's turned on. That just refreshes your playlists in XMLTV on startup. You can feel free to turn that off if you'd like. Image caching. This will download all of the images and cache them locally, so that way it's not calling out every time to grab those. Right now I'm going to leave this off just for its demo purposes. The bind address we want to match. You want to match this. If you are on Docker, it should just be 0.0.0.0. If you want to set that here, you can. I recommend just setting it to the IP address of the server and or Docker. Same with the Threadfin domain. If you want to set an actual domain name instead of an IP address. You can force HTTPS. I would say just ignore the HTTPS in general and just use a proxy, which we'll get to in a minute. Let's see. If you are outside of the US and you need non-ASCII characters, by default it's not checked. So if you're having problems with maybe the XML isn't working quite right, make sure enable non-ASCII is checked, and it'll add the non-ASCII characters back in. The only other thing you want to really pay attention to here, not just accept default, is the path to your FFmpeg binary. You want to make sure that gets set, as well as your options. By default, these options are in here. Feel free to change them how you'd like. Or if you're going to use CVOC, then you put the path to that here, and then same with the options. Okay, so now that we've got settings out of the way, we're going to go ahead and create our first playlist. So by default, the M3U type is there. But Threadfin also supports HD Home Run. I don't have my HD Home Run hooked up to this instance, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and use an IPTV URL that is free and available to everybody. So we're going to give our playlist a name. I'll just call it Open IPTV. You can give it a description if you want. It's not mandatory. This will be the link to the file. As you can see, it's just the index.m3u file for iptv-org. In this case, I'm not going to use a buffer, but in order to utilize proxy and user header origin settings, and in order to have all that work, then you need to set a buffer, either FFmpeg or VLC, as well as how many this is going to set how many connections can be made to that provider. So as an example, I'll set it to 3, and then we're going to go ahead and hit save. And you'll notice here that the playlist connections now say 0 out of 3. It used to say 0 out of 0. Now it's 0 out of 3 because we set this to 3. The playlist connections counter will only work if the buffer is set. If the buffer is not set, then it does not know whether or not you're still connected, because it simply just does a redirect to the client. So that's why not utilizing a buffer, some things just don't work. So if you want some of these extra things to work right, then make sure you have a buffer enabled. Also, a buffer will add good stability. While it does put you another few seconds behind live, it will offer much better stability. And now we're going to add our XML. So I've clicked on XML TV. I'm just going to call it XML TV. I've got this downloaded locally to the machine. Again, here we can use our gluten HTTP proxy IP import if we'd like to. You don't have to have a buffer. Obviously, there's no buffer for an XML. So you'll see here it shows I have 71 channels available out of 6,324 programs. If I come into mapping, you see nothing is mapped yet, and that's because we haven't set filters. Remember this setting back here for ignore filters, we have it off. So we need to come in here to the filter section. You'll see there's no active streams, and this will show you a list of all the inactives. So let's go ahead and come in here, hit next. I'm going to filter the news stations. So this is going through all the different categories that are available in the M3U. If this category group, if this group you're choosing is for like live events and it won't have a guide of any kind, then you need to check this live event group checkbox. And what that does is sometimes providers with live events will put the title of the live event in the channel name in the M3U. And so this will extract that. If they happen to also provide a start time for the event, that will also be extracted, and the guide will be created accordingly. If it does extract a successful timestamp, it will create the guide for the start time of the event until the end of the day, and then it'll have a guide portion before it that it fills in as well. If it cannot successfully get a timestamp, then it just creates an event for all day. You can include only include certain channel names. You can exclude channels if you don't want them. If you only want U.S. channels, you can do that. You can set the starting number for the group, so that should start the first channel in the group will start that way. Now, I will caveat this with if it deactivates the channel afterwards, it's not going to be in sequential order. We'll get to that here in a second. So you see here, I got all these filter categories that I can choose. We're going to choose news, and again, if you created one of those newer ones, and they'll show up here. And that filter category is what's going to be set in the Threadfin XML for Plex, MB, Jellyfin, whatever you're using. So now this is going to churn through, and now we've got all these active streams. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that these channels are actually active. They need to match. So the M3U will have a TVG ID. That TVG ID needs to match the TVG ID that's in the XML file. Oh, you know what? I didn't actually save my settings. So that's a good example actually. You'll see that I set my filter, nothing still showing a mapping. It's because I never hit save. So change that to XEPG, make sure you hit save. Refresh, and now my mapping shows up. So after you save, you need to you do a quick refresh of the UI. So interestingly enough, as you can tell, this did not grab. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I forgot I checked that. I'm gonna have to redo the filter. I accidentally left this checkbox checked, and as you can tell, it created all those channels. I was only expecting one channel to work. Okay, try this again. The only channel that should appear now in mapping is MSNBC. Yep, perfect. So now, as you can tell, we've got one channel that matched in the XML file, so it gets created. And you'll also notice that the channel number is not 1,000, it's actually 1,435. So what happened was it assigned all the channels first, the channel numbers, then went through and tried to match it. When it doesn't find a match in the XML, it automatically deactivates the channel. But if you really want this channel to be activated, and you go, I don't care if it's got a guide or not, right? I just want it to show as active. So we'll come down here and we will pick a channel real quick. Where'd it go? All right. So let's just say it's Press TV. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to set the XML TV file to Threadfin dummy. And then we can set it to, if you set it to PPV, it'll just create a guide that's like an all-day event guide, so it just shows as one. The problem with a lot of like if you do 30 minutes or 60 minutes, then every 30 minutes or 60 minutes, it's going to create a new program in the guide, and the more programs you have, the longer it's going to take Plex and whatnot to churn through it. So I set it to PPV. It makes one event that lasts all day, one program that lasts all day. And we hit done. Now you got to click this, go back to the top. Don't forget to hit save. You have to hit save. And then we need to refresh the UI. Sometimes it might say it's still maintenance mode or not working quite right. So just give it a little bit to churn through everything. And now you'll see that Press TV shows up. Now let's say we wanted to have a backup channel. Let's say since this playlist only has 3 connections and now a 4th person wants to come in and watch it, and let's say I've got a second playlist that allows 3 more connections. I can come in here to MSNBC. I can come here to backup channel 1. Now again, the backup channels only work if you are running a buffer. You have to be running a buffer in order for this to work. So you come in here and you're going to get this huge honking list. The thing to remember is these channels do not have to be active in order to be a backup channel. In fact, I suggest making sure that they're not active, but they do need to be mapped. So it does need to be filtered in. So if you're filtering it, it does have to be filtered in, and then it'll show up on this list here. And we can just call it this one, Shams TV. We hit done and save. Don't forget to refresh the UI. And now we've got this as a backup channel. Now what will happen is there's a couple scenarios where backup channels come in handy. Number one, if the original channel is not working, maybe it's not up, or there's an outage, it will then follow backup channel 1, then 2, then 3, and so on. So it will try, then fail over to backup channel number 1. The other scenario is if you have 3 people watching this channel already, and the 4th one comes in, it's going to know that that's going to fail, so it will automatically put the 4th person on the backup channel 1. This update channel logo, if you check this, it's going to overwrite what you have set. It's going to update the logo from the M3U. Same thing for channel names. So if you check these, you're wanting it to essentially refresh it. Also, I want to add, if you have FFmpeg and FFprobe installed, and let's say you have a live event channel and maybe there's a couple of them with different settings, maybe one's a high def, one's a lower def, and you don't know which is which, you can click this probe channel button and it will give you the details right here under probe details. I don't have FFprobe installed on the server, so I can't show this just yet. Okay, so now we are done with this. Let's come back here and change this back to 100 because I think I did not hit save. And then I think I did want to show you, I added locals earlier. And we'll come in here and do locals, and we had that as orange. Let's hit save. I want to come to the filter. Actually, I want to go to mapping. I want to change this press TV. Let's change it from news. See now locals shows up. Let's hit done. You notice it changes the color now to orange. Hit save. Let's go ahead and refresh. Make sure we're good. Okay, it's still orange. This is still red. So if we hit server information, you'll notice that we've got these M3U and XML. What I want to do is show you what this looks like. Hopefully this allows me to preview this. So you'll see here that it created the M3U file, and you'll notice that the name is there, the logo, the group title is news, MSNBC. Group title right here is locals, so notice that is now changed. And then coming back here to XML, we'll do the XML file. You'll notice that we have the 2 channels that show first, right? So this is MSNBC and Press TV. You'll see here that the Press TV has a channel offline. You'll see here another program for this one as well. Channel offline. So it has a start time, end time for the actual program that's going to happen, and then channel offline surrounds it. And then right here you can see that the news for MSNBC says paid programming, and then we have guide data for this channel. Okay, I think that is everything I can touch on in this intro. The other thing here is the log. This log, there is no actual log file. It's all kept in memory. So when you hit reset logs, it's gone. Just so you know. And then you can see here every time it refreshes. It refreshes the guide every time you hit save. Yep. And that is the introduction to Threadfin. Hopefully I covered everything. If I missed some things, let me know.